Welcome to today's Explainer. Take a quick look around you right now. Seriously, just glance around the room. Almost everything you see, the device you're watching this on, the clothes you're wearing, maybe even the chair you're sitting in, likely took this incredible, totally invisible journey across the globe before arriving in your hands. In fact, over 80% of global trade is carried by sea. That's huge. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this massive, hidden ecosystem of global shipping and trade. It's a world of staggering scale, highly complex rules, and incredibly high stakes. We're going to see exactly how this massive industry manages to transform absolute global chaos into perfectly orchestrated order.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering four main areas. First, logistics and global transportation. Second, quality management in shipping. Third, governing the high seas. And finally, navigating modern maritime challenges.
Section 1. Logistics and global transportation. Basically, the mechanics of global trade. To truly understand shipping, you really have to grasp the sheer scale of global transportation. We're talking about moving trillions of dollars of goods across road, rail, sea, air, and inland waterways, all completely seamlessly. It's literally the physical lifeblood of the global economy. Now, people toss the word logistics around all the time, right? But let's de-jargonize it for a second. At its absolute core, logistics is just the detailed coordination of incredibly complex operations. It's evolved way past just basic transport, like, simply putting a box on a truck. Today, it's about highly integrated systems. It's this invisible machinery that figures out how to get raw materials from a mine in one hemisphere to a factory in another, and finally to a retail shelf right down your street, all at the exact right time and the exact right cost.
Now, what's really interesting is that modern shipping isn't just about massive steel vessels floating on the water anymore. It is completely powered by data. Logistics information systems are the actual brains of the whole operation. For instance, we have electronic data interchange, or EDI standards, which basically let completely different global computer systems talk to each other instantly. We've got barcoding and point-of-sale data tracking individual items down to the millimeter. And increasingly, thanks to the internet and artificial intelligence, these systems can actually predict delays, intelligently route massive cargo ships around forming storms, and optimize deliveries in real time. Make no mistake, data moves these ships just as much as fuel does.
But, moving things is really only half the battle. That brings us to inventory management. You have to perfectly balance supply and demand. Just imagine a holiday season where a specific toy suddenly becomes a massive viral hit. Poor inventory management means empty shelves, really frustrated customers, and millions of dollars lost. On the flip side, perfect management means algorithms detect that spike early and ships are practically diverted mid-ocean just to supply the demand. Intelligent inventory management is the precise heartbeat of this industry. It's where global shipping networks either succeed brilliantly or fail really, really expensively.
All right, moving to Section 2, quality management in shipping. This is all about battling the chaos.
When you have millions of moving parts spread out across literally every ocean and continent, how do these massive logistics companies keep all this complexity from collapsing into total chaos? Well, the answer lies in a pretty brilliant simplification. Quality management is nothing but keeping everything in proper order. Often we hear quality management and think of dry corporate jargon, right? But out on the oceans, it isn't jargon at all. It is a daily, relentless battle to maintain order against the elements, against human error, and against the sheer odds of moving millions of tons of cargo safely.
So how is this kind of order actually achieved? Through four really crucial steps. First, absolutely everything must be planned with established procedures. Second, execution has to strictly follow those instructions. Third, and I think this is probably the most critical part, you have to eliminate coincidences and mood-dependent decisions. In global shipping, nothing should ever happen by coincidence or just because of a single person's whim. If a captain decides to change course just because they feel like it, millions of dollars or even lives could be lost. And finally, it requires a complete attitude change at all organizational levels, ensuring that every single employee is motivated to uphold the system. And because shipping is, by definition, global, you can't just have high standards sitting at your headquarters. Companies have to establish operations all around the world. To pull that off, they rely on highly dependable, quality-conscious associates everywhere. Because think about it, a pristine, perfectly managed port in Europe doesn't mean much if the cargo gets completely mishandled by a disorganized associate at a regional hub halfway across the globe. Building this global presence ensures they can deliver first-class service and maintain really close client relationships, no matter where the cargo physically sits on the map.
Section 3. Governing the high seas. The rules of the water.
So once those ships leave the port, whose rules do they actually follow? The ocean is vast, sure, but it is definitely not lawless.
Everything starts with the International Maritime Organization, or the IMO. Their fundamental slogan and mission statement is safe, secure, and efficient shipping on clean oceans. I love this because it brilliantly illustrates the ultimate goals of all maritime regulation. It's not just about speed and corporate profit. Absolute safety for the crew and the protection of our marine environments are paramount.
To actually enforce these IMO standards, the industry relies on a really clever dual-layered system of governance. On one side, you've got Flag State Control, or FSC. This refers to the country where the ship is officially registered. The flag state holds the primary, ultimate responsibility for ensuring that the vessel meets all safety and environmental rules. But what happens if a flag state is a little bit lax? That's exactly where Port State Control, or PSC, comes in. PSC is the inspection of foreign ships when they arrive in national ports. It acts as a crucial backup system. Even if a ship's home country ignores a problem, the country it's visiting will inspect it the moment it arrives and can literally detain the ship if it isn't safe.
So let's see how this all builds into actual on-the-ground safety. Ship owners must clear a strict step-by-step ladder of certification. First, the baseline. They have to fully comply with the International Safety Management Code, or ISM. Second, the shipping company itself faces an audit, and if they pass, they earn a Document of Compliance, or DOC. Finally, the specific ship itself is heavily inspected to earn a Safety Management Certificate, the SMC. Only when both the company and the ship hold these separate documents can that vessel legally sail. It's a tight ship, literally and figuratively.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, Navigating Modern Maritime Challenges, the Dark Waters.
We've seen the rules, but let's be real, the world isn't always perfectly orderly. Out in the deep water, the industry faces incredibly tough obstacles. It might sound like something out of an old history book, but how do we handle maritime piracy and marine frauds today? Make no mistake, this is a striking, very real modern-day threat. The shipping industry has to constantly coordinate internationally, utilizing advanced tracking and best management practices to protect crews and cargo from armed pirates. And on the digital side, they're fighting off sophisticated fraudsters trying to steal millions through ghost ships, fake documentation, and massive cyber attacks.
Then, there's the stark reality of a ship's life cycle: shipbuilding versus shipbreaking. While building a new ship is a marvel of pristine modern engineering, tearing a massive, toxic steel vessel apart at the end of its life is incredibly dangerous. The shipbreaking industry on the beaches of places like India is massive and highly perilous. To prevent environmental and human disasters, international frameworks like the Hong Kong Convention have been established. These ensure that these massive vessels are recycled safely and cleanly, properly closing the loop on a ship's long life. And through all of this, the landscape just keeps evolving. Logistics networks aren't just trapped at the coast anymore. They are pushing deep inland with inland container depots and container freight stations, which means a city hundreds of miles from the ocean can practically function like a port. We're seeing massive public-private partnerships pouring billions into brand-new port infrastructure. Out in the deep water, highly specialized vessels like seismic survey ships are pushing the absolute limits of exploring the ocean floor, and rapid technological developments are constantly rewriting the rules of what is even possible.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought. We've seen the incredible data systems, the strict quality management, and the rigid international laws. But with technological developments accelerating faster than ever before, are oceans actually becoming safer, or are they just becoming infinitely more complex? It's a fascinating question to ponder the next time you look at the everyday items around you brought to your door by this magnificent, invisible machine. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the incredible systems that run our world.